Advanced Studio Classroom is on the air. Interested in hiking, swimming, and exploring beautiful rainforests? Then Dominica might be the place for you. Stay tuned. Hi there, friends. Welcome to Advanced Radio, your window on the world. My name is Liz Archer, and I'm glad to be back to talk about the second part of this 3-day article on the island of Dominica. With me to talk about this beautiful island are our two panelists from yesterday's discussion. First, we have Howie Zhang. Hi there, and welcome back.
Thank you, Liz, and hello again, listeners.
So, Howie, I'd like to ask you, what has impressed you the most about Dominica so far?
A lot of things so far. I especially like the fact, and I think I mentioned this yesterday, is it's one of the most unspoiled islands in the Caribbean. And I like that. I like areas where that I guess people haven't spoiled it already, meaning that there are a lot of touristy places, a lot of pollution, a lot of cars around everywhere. The island is pretty much maybe the way it was many, many years ago. So if I go there, I can get a sense that, okay, this is an island where it hasn't been pretty much trampled on by civilization.
Okay, thank you, Howie. And we have our other panelist, Chip. You all, hello.
Hello, Liz. Hello, Howie. Hello, listeners.
So, Chip, I'd like to ask you the same question, too. What has impressed you the most so far about Dominica?
Well, the whole island sounds pretty spectacular, but I think my favorite part about Dominica is the adventure side of the island. I'm somewhat of an outdoorsman myself. I love the outdoors, and I love some adventure sports outdoors. And Dominica has mountain climbing and kayaking and hiking, and it sounds like it has everything that I love.
It certainly does sound like it, and we're going to find out some more about what Dominica has to offer. It definitely is a fascinating little place. It's a little island in the Caribbean or Caribbean. And if you have your January 2009 Advanced magazine with you, please turn to page 29 and follow along with today's reading. And here is Brian.
There are no traditional resorts and fewer traditional hotels. Wearing beachwear on the street in the two cities, Roseau and Portsmouth, is considered improper. But in the jungle, where mosquitoes surprisingly aren't a problem, it's a different story. The first rule in Dominica is, always wear your swimsuit. That mantra comes from Samuel Raphael, owner of Jungle Bay Resort and Spa, which, true to its name, is nestled in the middle of a jungle overlooking Point Moulatray Bay on the island's southeast side. Sam and his wife Glenda spent 10 years developing and building the 55-acre property, which is the perfect prototype for Dominica's slowly growing tourism industry. It's eco-conscious, unapologetically hospitable, and naturally gorgeous. Each of its 35 tropical hardwood cottages is raised on stilts for ideal views and circulation. Their solar-heated outdoor showers drip back into the jungle, polluted only by natural and organic soaps. All of the furniture is made from local wood, handcrafted by folks from the neighboring villages of Delicaisse and Petit Savan.
Thank you, Brian, for the reading. Now, when it comes to an island adventure, I know some people really enjoy staying in a nice, fancy resort or beachside hotel, but things are different in Dominica, right?
That's right. There are no traditional resorts and fewer traditional hotels. And wearing beachwear on the streets in the two cities, Roseau and Portsmouth, is considered improper.
Very interesting, isn't it?
Improper. They like the clothing in the cities to be modest, it sounds like.
Right, right. I mean, I find that fascinating because my impression is, okay, so you don't have these traditional resorts, which means you don't have all these tourists coming in. And so I would imagine it should be more laid back. Things are more traditional. And so maybe people would be more comfortable with not, being so fussy about protocol, what's proper. But yet beachwear is not acceptable in the streets. Interesting. Okay. But it's not like you can't wear beachwear. And as we can see in the last sentence of the first paragraph, lines 14 through 16.
Yeah, but in the jungle, where mosquitoes surprisingly aren't a problem, it's a different story. As a matter of fact, the first rule, the most important rule in Dominica, is always wear your swimsuit.
Okay, unless you're in the cities.
Okay. Right.
Okay, now I must say, this is probably what's impressed me the most so far. I'm thoroughly impressed. There's actually a jungle out there where mosquitoes aren't a problem.
I'm going.
I love being out there in Mother Nature and all that, but the bugs get me. I am live bait when it comes to mosquitoes. In fact, you don't need mosquito repellent. You just need me with you. And I can almost guarantee you will not be bitten because they're coming to me. I am a mosquito diner. Anyways, okay. I'm very impressed and very curious, and I almost feel like, okay, I have to see this for myself. Anyways, so the jungle is the kind of place where you can and should wear your swimsuit. And with this interesting statement or rule in Dominica, wear your swimsuit. Okay. That's actually a mantra from Samuel Raphael. Now we see that in the next column. Now, what is a mantra?
That's one of our vocabulary focused words, and mantra is a word or phrase that is often repeated, and sometimes it's used to express a belief. I know certain religions have mantras, but we're not using that word as a religious way. Here, we're using it because people always say, you have to wear your swimsuit, you have to wear your swimsuit. And because it's so often repeated, it's considered like a mantra.
Okay. Now, sometimes if something's repeated again and again as a reminder, it's meant for something positive. It's trying to remind you to, control your actions in a way for positive results. We would call it a mantra. But sometimes a statement could be said too many times, then we call it a cliche. Okay, C-L-I-C-H-E, a cliche. And that seems to be more negative sounding because people are tired of hearing it. It just sounds like, you just have to say it for the sake of saying it. But anyways, it's a mantra, okay? Now, who is Samuel Raphael?
He's the owner of the Jungle Bay Resort and Spa, which, the article says, true to its name, is nestled in the middle of a jungle overlooking a bay on the southeast side. So this definitely sounds like a resort that I would like to go to.
Okay, but it's not a traditional resort, which we'll find out later. But first of all, what does nestled mean?
Nestled means to lie in a sheltered position or a spot. So when this place is nestled in the middle of a jungle, it means it's probably covered. It's not probably very easily seen. It's kind of hidden even because it's in a sheltered position. Now, not just places can be nestled, but people, animals can be nestled. We can sometimes say a child is nestled under the arms of his or her parents, or an animal has nestled next to the mother or father.
That's true.
Very
and the
comfortable.
Word, yes, right. Very comfortable. And notice the word N-E-S-T, nestle, nest. And I kind of, in my mind, I have this connection because a nest is supposed to be a very safe place for baby animals. Well, anyway, Sam Raphael, and his wife Glenda, they've spent 10 years developing and building this 55-acre property, and it's described as the perfect prototype for Dominica's slowly growing tourism industry. Now, what is a prototype?
Prototype is a word we hear a lot these days, especially in technology, but here it just means the original model of something which will be used later to develop other types or models. So the perfect prototype means that it's like the first of its kind and other things will be modeled after it.
Okay, so if it succeeds, that type would be something that other companies or organizations or groups would want to copy.
Exactly.
Okay. And so how is this Jungle Bay Resort and Spa the perfect prototype?
Well, the article gives 3 reasons. First, it says it's eco-conscious, which means it's very aware of the ecology or very aware and intentional about protecting the environment. And it's also unapologetically hospitable. So it's extremely hospitable and welcoming to guests, and it's not going to apologize for being extremely hospitable. That's kind of a unique phrase there, I think.
I'm sorry, I have to be so kind to you.
Right. And naturally gorgeous. It's beautiful. Its nature is beautiful.
Okay, and so if it's so beautiful, it's so gorgeous, what can we expect to see if you're going to visit this place, this Jungle Bay Resort and Spa?
Well, each of its 35 tropical hardwood cottages is raised on stilts for ideal views and circulation. Now, stilts are these, like a pole or I guess a thick piece of wood that would hold up these cottages and keep it above ground. So because it's above ground, you can see, you have a nice view, and it also helps circulate the air better, I guess.
Right, so there's air coming from the bottom as well.
Be like a little house on really tall legs.
That's right.
Yes, like on a tabletop kind of thing. And sometimes we see them over water. So, okay. And what else can we expect to see at Jungle Bay Resort and Spa?
It sounds like their solar-heated outdoor showers drip back into the jungle. So the wastewater from your shower goes back into the jungle, and they only use natural and organic, probably biodegradable soaps, so it doesn't hurt the environment.
Okay. And on top of all that, the furniture that's used are all made from local wood, handcrafted by the local people in nearby villages. In other words, the wood is not imported. And by having the furniture made locally, Jungle Bay is supporting local economy. And basically, that gives the people in the surrounding area a chance to create something, and money stays in the country. Well, let's find out more about what the trails are like in the jungle since we are at Jungle Bay Resort. We're on page 30 now. So we were on page 29. Let's turn the page. And please follow along with the second reading. And here is Brian.
Everyone at Jungle Bay wears a swimsuit constantly, and not necessarily to take advantage of the modest swimming pool assembled with volcanic stones. They wear their swimsuits because on Dominica, all roads lead to hikes, and all hikes, most of them anyway, lead to water. Take Victoria Falls. Located a few miles inland from Point Mouletre Bay, the hour hike to the spectacular 130-meter falls entails traversing a muddy trail that loses itself amid the rapidly growing rainforest, and thereafter, 4 river crossings each way. The water is swift but not cold. It's incredibly clean and softened by sulfur. One of the crossings required this 5'11" lady to wade up to her waist. The others are tests of balance and confidence while scaling slippery boulders and wading through swift rapids. The difficulty level of this hike? Moderate.
You're listening to Advanced Radio. My name is Liz Archer, and I'm here with Chip Ewald and Howie Zhang in the studio. We've been discussing a travel article about the island of Dominica in the Caribbean. So far for today, we've learned about the dress code in the cities of Dominica. And what is that?
No beachwear.
Okay, no beachwear allowed, but things are different in the jungles. And we've also mentioned the Jungle Bay Resort and Spa. As we can see in the first sentence of the first paragraph on page 30, everyone at Jungle Bay wears a swimsuit constantly. In fact, that's the first rule. It's their mantra. Now, why is that?
Well, it says not necessarily to take advantage of the swimming pool, the modest swimming pool there at the resort, but rather because all roads or all paths lead to hikes, and all hikes lead to water on the island.
So sooner or later, you're going to find yourself coming up to water. And swimsuit just sounds like the practical thing to wear.
Have to be ready to swim.
Exactly.
Well, it's good, too, because after a long hike, what better place to relax and cool off than in the water?
Very true. And so we move on to the next paragraph, and here's an example of a hike that leads to water. We're going to Victoria Falls. Now describe the hike, please, Howie.
Well, it's a few miles inland from a bay, and it's the hour hike to the spectacular 130-meter Victoria Falls entails traversing a muddy trail that loses itself amid the rapidly growing rainforest. And let me go through some vocabulary words here.
Yes, please, Howie.
Entail means to make something necessary. So it's necessary to traverse. Traverse simply means to pass through a muddy trail that loses itself amid, and amid means among the rapidly growing rainforest. And finally, you get to 4 rivers.
And you have to cross them.
That's right.
Each way. So if it's to and fro, that means you're doing river crossing 8 times.
8 river crossings. That's a difficult trail.
It's not easy, and it's no wonder you need your bathing suit, your swimsuit on. Okay, so this waterfall is 130 meters tall, and it takes about an hour to get there by foot, including the 4 rivers that you have to cross. Now, how does the writer describe this whole experience, especially the water?
Well, these river crossings, the water is swift, or it's fast. The current is fast, but it's not cold. And it's very, very clean water, incredibly clean, and it's softened by sulfur. A lot of times you have rivers that have a lot of iron in it, and the water is, we call it hard water.
Right.
And so this is a much softer water. And one of these crossings is especially deep, I think.
That's right. You need to wade through the water, and to wade means you have to walk through it. And it goes up to this 5'11" lady's waist. Now, this lady, some of you may be wondering, is the writer of the article. Now, some of you may be wondering, why didn't this person just write I or my waist? Well, sometimes in these kinds of articles, you don't want to always write the word I. To make it sound a little bit different, they'll put it in the third term or third person, and it's like this 5'11" lady up to her waist, which is referring to herself.
Right. And also, by mentioning her height, it gives you a better understanding and appreciation of just how deep the water is. But I can't help but also feel that she is playing with the language. She could have said, I had to wade through the water, and it came up to my waist, and I'm 5'11".
By the way, for some of you who don't want to do the math, 5'11" is approximately a little bit over 180 centimeters.
That's right. 5'11" is not short. Okay. So she's having a little fun with the language here. She's a tall lady, and she had to wade up to her waist. And so she's trying to show you this is no joke. This is serious wading. You have to go through all of this. And it's interesting, too, that she mentioned that the water is softened by sulfur. Remember that Dominica is volcanic. So when you have a volcano, you will have sulfur. And the water is soft. I like soft water, personally.
It's good for the hair, isn't it?
It is very good for the hair. A lot of mineral deposits. It's good for the skin as well. Right. Okay. Now, she's wading through this water, and it doesn't sound easy for the average urbanite. Most of us, when it rains, it pours heavily in the city, and the water is a couple inches or a couple centimeters, and we think, oh my goodness, the streets are flooded. But now she's in this water where it comes up to her waist. And so how does she describe this difficulty or this level of hike? And after all, if you look at line 35, she also mentions that you have to scale slippery boulders. That means you have to somehow make your way up and around these slippery rocks, huge rocks. That's what boulders are. And again, the water is really swift. And so it doesn't sound easy, but what was the description?
She uses the word moderate. So she describes it, and I would think that she's describing a very difficult hike, but apparently related to the other hikes on the island, this is medium level. This is moderate.
That's right. And not only is it moderate, it's moderate with quotation marks. So sometimes with quotation marks, you can do a lot with the language. In other words, you could say, it's moderate with quotation marks because that's what the locals say it is. That's how they would respond. It's a moderate hike.
It sounds like it's not the word that she would use to describe that hike.
Exactly. So she puts in quotation marks. Could you believe that? They actually call this moderate. So she's having a little fun with the language here. And it really is a funny answer because then that means if you're going to some of the other hikes around Dominica, it's not so, quote unquote, moderate. So I think what they mean by moderate is probably intense for the average urbanite, probably.
I don't think I can do it.
You don't think you can?
I mean, it wouldn't be moderate for me. I would probably have to work up to this kind of a trail.
True. And especially if you have to scale slippery rocks. So you have to go up and down and climb. And again, notice how earlier we mentioned that the muddy trail loses itself. So sooner or later, you're not really walking on paved roads or anything that's cleared. You have to work your way through the vegetation. That takes effort and work, and I'd be tired very quickly. Well, we've covered several words, a lot of specialized terms, vocabulary focus, and I think it's time for a review. This is, after all, a 3-day article, and we have a lot of words. So now it's time for a feature.
Oh, Peter, what a great idea coming here to Dominica to celebrate Chinese New Year.
I knew you'd like the island, Lisa. But I'm sorry, there are no Chinese New Year celebrations here. Dominica is a Creole island, so they don't really get into these Chinese holidays.
That's not a problem. We're here to enjoy our time off from work. Oh, I think our tour guide is here to pick us up.
Hello, man. I'm Winston, and you must be Lisa and Peter.
Yes, we are, Winston. How are you?
I live in paradise. How do you think I am? Life is very nonchalant here, if you know what I mean. So, you want to have a little fun?
Absolutely. We like to get some strenuous exercise in while seeing the natural beauty of the island.
Very well, my lovely couple. Just for kicks, we will hike up to the top of Morn Dio Blaton, Dominica's tallest mountain. The view is spectacular, and the mountain is crawling with beautiful flowers and exotic plants.
Well, that sounds delightful, Winston. Lisa is very interested in agriculture since she spent her youth working on a farm. She studies plant life extensively.
Yes, my mantra is, if we can grow it, we must know it.
I'm happy for you, Lisa. Well, after you get to know the plants and flowers, I will take you to Boiling Lake, Dominica's surreal landmark. You have never seen anything like it before.
Can we go for a swim in Boiling Lake?
It's probably not a good idea to go swimming in a boiling lake, man.
Okay, Winston, let's get this tour of Dominica started.
Here we go!
Okay, so the island of Dominica is what we've been talking about. And for some people, it's easy to just call it Dominica, like the Dominican Republic. But I think most people would prefer or choose to pronounce it as Dominica. Well, now, Howie, you were mentioning earlier how on line 25, we were talking about Victoria Falls.
Right. I underlined the word take on line 25 on page 30 because perhaps some of you are thinking, why that word, take Victoria Falls? Does that mean that you can go on and grab it and take the waterfalls? Of course not. The word take here means for example, because if you look at the line before that, it says they wear their swimsuits because on Dominica, all roads lead to hikes and all hikes lead to water. For example, Victoria Falls. So the word here, take, means for example.
Okay, thank you for that example. Take, that's another way to use the word. Take is actually a very multi-purpose word, and so we've learned another way of using take. All right, well, we have just a few minutes to do a quick recap of what we've talked about so far. And again, I'd like to ask you two gentlemen, are you still impressed with this place?
Definitely.
Very much so. Yesterday, I kind of hinted to our listeners that why do I like this place? What would make me want to go? And it's because of that spa and resort.
Oh.
Some of you probably have heard me talk about I used to be an environmental studies major, so that spa and resort would fascinate me because I want to see what an eco-friendly, conscious resort would look like with its organic soaps and how some of the wastewater would flow into the jungle. I want to see how this would operate and work, and I think I would really enjoy that because a lot of times you go to a hotel, you kind of feel guilty because they have all these towels.
Yes.
And then they have to wash them every day, and every day you get new towels. And there's a lot of waste. There's a lot of wrapping here and there. And maybe some of the things don't even support the local economy. The furniture and a lot of the decorations aren't part of the local economy. They're all imported. But this place, it supports the local economy. It's friendly to the environment. And it sounds wonderful. It sounds like it's in a place where it's on stilts and there's circulation and has a beautiful view. That's the kind of hotel, that's the kind of resort I'd want to go.
And no mosquitoes.
Oh, yes. Just like Liz, I am like mosquito bait, and mosquitoes just come after me. So this place, I'll be so happy that it's mosquito-free, it seems like.
Well, I'm also fascinated by Jungle Bay Resort and Spa because I am also interested in how a resort could be eco-conscious. I've been to vacation centers where they claim to be eco-conscious, but in the process of trying to preserve the environment, I don't think they took good care of the guests. And I felt like we were being preached at, lectured at for being hurtful to the environment, and we were being punished. And we were told to eat a certain way and have certain types of linen and things like that. The service, I think they had a lot of apologizing to do. But at the same time, like what Hallie has said, there are a lot of resorts and hotels out there that are realizing that they are not helping the environment. All the towels and things like that, it's a major problem. And so if you do travel and you come to a hotel that is perhaps not as eco-conscious, maybe you can do something about the towels. You don't need to have fresh ones, provided every day. If you can, just keep the same set during your stay. Well, we still have a few more things to talk about Dominica. This is, after all, day 2 of this 3-day article. Please join us again tomorrow for the conclusion of this article. We still have a few more things to talk about. We talked about hiking, yet we have not talked about the surrounding waters. So there's something to look forward to. Until then, this is Liz Archer
And Chip.
Howie.
saying goodbye.
Goodbye.